Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Beware the Board, a horror podcast where we watch a randomly selected horror movie every single week. I'm Bob.
I'm Ben.
Hey, Ben.
What's up?
Nothing much.
Oh, no, that's good.
Yeah, nothing really. I mean, look, I know I bitch about what's happening in my life a lot, but I finally got my car fixed. So I'm
That's
not
good.
absolutely fucked anymore. So that's pretty cool, I guess.
Okay. Do anything fun recently?
I mean, not really. Fixed my car.
Okay.
That wasn't fun, but it was like...
No,
you know.
that was nice, though.
No, it is nice. I drove for the first time in like 2 weeks yesterday. Felt
Especially
so good.
since it was like a newish car.
Yeah, well,
Well, newish to you, but
that's true.
same difference.
Well, you know what's crazy? And I'm sure the audience is not going to care about this, and that's okay. You can skip ahead a little bit if you don't want to hear about my car problems.
the audience is not going to care about this.
Ben's not going to care either, but I'm still going to talk about it because this is where I get to vent. So what was wrong with my car is the CV axle broke, which is like the axle that runs from your transmission to your tire.
Any axle braking is probably not good.
Yeah, that's totally fair. That I really shouldn't.
I don't think it matters which one.
Yeah. And because the CV axle broke, basically I could put it in reverse or drive or whatever and it just wouldn't move because the transmission was spinning and it wasn't spinning anything. So a dude that I know, he came out, he's very nice, and he replaced it for me for like cheaper than going to a shop. However, when he took it off, he went, "Man, somebody's been here and fucked this up already." I said, "Huh?" He's like, "There's zip ties all over this thing. Somebody in here like jury rigged it and made it like." He was like, they should have broke a long time ago." I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?
But-
Driving a death trap unbeknownst?"
The person who sold it to you probably zip-tied it himself.
Well, that's the thing. Is like, I was like, "Can I get like legal recourse for this?" And he was like, "No, 'cause whenever you start suing, they'll go, I didn't do that."
Yeah.
It's like, damn it, I have no real
And
evidence.
they're also just going to be like, you bought it. You should have checked.
Yeah, but like, there's like some legal responsibility, right? If you sell someone something you know it's fucked up and dangerous.
Depends, right?
I don't know.
Because also, like, if you assure them that it's used and there might be issues and they buy it anyways, they're technically fully aware.
Yeah, I don't know.
And also, it wasn't like a deadly issue. Your car just would have stopped moving on the highway.
Yeah, that
that's-
feels deadly.
That's never gone poorly before.
No, not at all.
Well, it wouldn't have stopped, like, stop, but, like, you could have coasted.
Yeah, but imagine if I was like going like 70 in like traffic
Get over
and
it.
it just, perish. I guess. Fuck. Anyway, that's all I want. That's the only life update I have. So, if we want, we can move on to the news.
Yeah, we can.
Do you have anything before I go?
Playing a lot of Helldivers, too.
Oh, you finally got bit by the Helldivers bug. I see.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
I've heard it's very, very good.
It's so much fun.
The problem is I just probably can't run it on my PC.
You definitely can't.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Well, Bob's PC makes noises when it's just turned on,
Well,
let alone
it's fine.
running a video game. So I'm just guessing,
At least it doesn't sound like my PlayStation.
but it's a lot of fun. Some of the higher difficulties though are bullshit. They're definitely fun, but there are times where it's like, this is not fair anymore.
I see. Okay.
That's all.
In news that is semi-relevant to the podcast because of some things that have happened this season, a new TV show based on Hostel is in the works. With Eli Roth set to return and direct, Paul Giamatti set to star, and producers Chris Briggs and Mike Fleece returning to the franchise as well. No more details about the story have been released other than that it's a modern adaptation of the original film with Eli Roth directing. Eli Roth stated in an interview recently that he would like to return to this franchise as well as Cabin Fever because he sees them like his children and seems he's, getting to finally come back to at least one of them. And I think that's pretty cool. Even though we haven't seen Hostel, I think it's sweet.
No, that's cool. It doesn't sound fun.
You don't think so?
Like, I don't think the Hostel movies are fun.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I understand, but it's like,
they're kind of mean and all the characters suck.
yeah.
That doesn't mean they're bad movies. I mean, there's definitely people that enjoy Hostel. But I'm not sure how much me personally, would enjoy a Hostel TV show.
Yeah.
Because think about it. It's a movie that is considered to be like one of the main founders of, again, what was called at the time torture porn. And it's like,
Yeah.
instead of just being an hour and a half of this to 2 hours, it's like, oh, here's it's assumedly like Netflix or something. So like 6 episodes at an hour long. So
6 hours of horrible, horrible things.
yeah, and it's like, oh, cool. I sound like I'm not excited. I'm sure if Eli Roth is going to be behind it, it'll probably turn out pretty good, hopefully. And will hopefully be a good addition to the Hostel franchise.
Yeah, I didn't know this. I didn't know there was more than one Hostel film.
Oh, yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah, I was online doing research about this specific thing, and the article I was reading was talking about how, like, I guess Eli Roth didn't, like, work on Hostel 2 or something. He, like, left after the first one, and then they did another one without him, and, like, he's kind of upset about it.
I mean, I would be too. In either case, I'm not sure if I'm going to like it, especially because we don't really have any information about it, but
No, other than Paul Giamatti's in it, and that's pretty cool.
I hope it turns out well.
No, me too.
Because hopefully people who like the franchise will like it.
Hopefully. I mean, that's kind of their target audience for real when you come back to something like this, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that's my only piece of news, Ben.
Oh, okay. So, podcast, part of the podcast?
Podcast part of the podcast.
Okay, so I think we've already established that Bob is just leaving remakes until the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, no,
Because I think that's going to be cool.
I do too.
So we have the last spot in both Cabin in the Woods and cult movies.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've been doing it all season. I've been bouncing back and forth.
are you going to go back and forth today? Or are you going to finish up Cult and then go to Cabin in the Woods? Because you think you know what's in Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, I think I do. And if it's not that,
I'm telling you, you think you know.
quit telling me I think
But
I know.
you don't actually know.
Okay, bozo. Calm down.
So keep that in mind if you decide to choose Cabin in the Woods.
I do want to preface this with, you know how Ben does that thing this makes me upset? It doesn't make me upset. It makes me anxious, actually.
That's part of the reason
where-
I do it.
When I pick a movie he or category or a spot or whatever, he goes, "Are you sure?" He did that before we started the episode. He was like, "What are you going to pick this episode?" I was like, "I'm probably going to bounce back to Cabin in the Woods." And he was like, "Are you sure?" Bro, we're not even recording yet. This is unnecessary bits. So I am going to choose that one.
Wait,
I'm going to choose Cabin in the Woods.
Are you choosing Cabin in the Woods?
And I'm choosing
Are you sure?
I hate you.
It was necessary then.
No, yeah, it was. I'm choosing the last spot in Cabin in the Woods.
You're certain?
Brother, yes.
Okay. Don't say I didn't warn you. Today, we are watching The Evil Dead.
Oh, so I did know it was in here. Thank God.
And The Evil Dead 2.
Oh, no. Oh, no. We're doing both.
I tried to stop you without telling you.
Oh, Ben, we haven't done one of these in so long.
I tried.
We have to do other stuff today.
I tried to warn you.
Why didn't you warn me harder?
Because you don't listen.
You know I don't listen.
I know.
I know, like, there's no takesies backsies.
There's not. You can't go back.
A mistake has been made.
For anyone who's wondering, part of the issue here is so the Sunday after this gets released, so 3 days after this gets released, it's Father's Day.
Yeah.
So we're releasing at least the Father's Day episode.
Yep.
Bob's maybe going to try and get his birthday episode out on the same day. It might be late now because he's going to have to release, I think, a third episode on that Sunday.
Is that what the schedule was when we did extra episodes?
I think so.
There's no way.
It was Thursday, and then it might have been Monday. But either or, Bob's gonna have to edit like 4 episodes this week because he hasn't started.
I'm so
on
glad
any
I'm
of
off
them.
for 2 days in a row.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my God.
I
Don't apologize. I signed up for this.
I know, but I feel bad. I was like, I knew coming into this today. I was like, Bob's gonna choose the last spot in Cabin in the Woods, and he's gonna get fucked.
Well, I was right, but I didn't know about the surprise
told you.
second film.
You thought you were right,
No, I
but
was
you
right.
weren't.
I was correct.
Not entirely.
I was right, kinda, bro.
But yeah, we're doing both Evil Dead movies. I think they go really well together. I would have liked to do the third one
Yeah.
and just done the Evil Dead trilogy, but that doesn't fit really well with this category.
Okay.
So, but the first two movies do. So,
Understandable.
kind of had to do both. It would have felt weird if we
Didn't.
didn't. Because I will say, best way to watch the first Evil Dead films is watch all three together. Because
Really?
they go like back to back to back. Like
Mhm.
they slide into each other pretty concisely. Just like a tree. Anyways,
A tree.
you ready for me to start?
I'm a little concerned about that tree comment. What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Whatever. You just keep going.
Today we're watching The Evil Dead from 1981.
This movie's from 81. I did not
Yeah.
realize the original was that old.
Great year.
It was a pretty cool year.
Descriptions: 5 friends, a cabin in the woods, and a whole lot of trouble.
Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm excited, man. But also, there's like, I don't know. I guess I'm nervous.
I'm really excited.
I know you're really excited, but I'm really nervous.
I love Evil Dead.
I know you
It's
do.
one of my favorite franchises for horror films. I mean, for what? The podcast's anniversary, Bob got me the Kandarian Dagger and the Book of the Dead.
Yeah, I know you like it
And
so
he was like,
much.
I don't know what this is, but here you go.
Yep.
And I'm honestly kind of sad that we're getting this as the last spot on this category.
Really?
Well, it'll be interesting to do it this way because every film we've watched in this category this season has been pretty heavily referencing The Evil Dead.
Mhm.
So probably the whole movie you're going to go, wait a second. This seems really familiar.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to start with this because I feel like this is like the perfect movie to end this category on.
Probably is, but it's kind of that back and forth of like, you would have been able to get the references if we watched this one first.
I guess that's fair.
But I guess you can do that in hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
Either case, length, it's pretty short, hour 25 minutes.
That is a little bit short.
Because it's from the 80s and it was a normal length.
Yeah.
As far as rating goes, NC-17,
Ooh,
which
nice.
is the highest the rating system goes.
That is pretty sweet.
I mean, I guess unrated but that's just unrated. NC-17 is you have to be 18.
Yeah.
Most places don't show it too, which kind of sucks. That's why you don't want an NC-17 rating.
Yeah.
Anyways, review scores. IMDb gave it a 7.4 out of 10. Tomato Meter gave it an 86%. And an audience score of 84%.
That's high, but not the highest we've seen on the podcast.
Well, yeah. This is like the pinnacle of B movies. This is not like a big budget feature.
Interesting.
What's interesting about that?
I mean, we all know me.
Are you going to reference The Perfect Movie?
No, I'm not going to talk about
Oh.
that. No.
What were you going to talk about?
I mean, I'm just a fan of this kind of movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's why I was making a face. I was like, that sounds pretty cool.
Oh, no, it's really cool. It's well produced, but yeah, it's a smaller budget kind of thing. Awards, 5 wins and 1 nomination. Notable actors, Bruce Campbell
Yeah.
as Ash Williams. I guess Ashley Williams, but he played Mayor Shelbourne in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Okay, I didn't know that he was that.
Yeah.
Hold on. Ash's full name is Ashley?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I've
I
always
believe
just
so.
called him Ash.
Well, yeah, he goes by Ash.
I had no idea his full name was Ashley. That's so especially in the 80s, to have like a sweet ass main character who's like a fucking Giga Chad and name him Ashley.
Well, Ashley's a gender neutral name.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've never heard of a
traditionally.
dude being named Ashley.
I think it's a fairly modern thing, like after the 2000s, that it became primarily female.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I didn't know that either until I watched this movie when I was like, okay, I was fairly young. I had to be maybe 12.
You watched this movie when you were 12?
If it makes it even better, I watched it for the first time with my mom. So,
With your mom?
yeah,
Oh my god.
that'll sound funnier later once you've seen the film.
I
You're
guess
like,
it probably
what
will
the fuck
sound
is
fun
this?
later. Yeah.
But yeah, it can go both ways.
Huh.
Which
Didn't know
just
that.
sounds weird to me too. But
yeah, no, it seems very strange.
But yeah, Bruce Campbell's really cool. I didn't know he did voice work. So, obviously, I read that Mayor Shelbourne thing from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and I was like, what the fuck?
You got anything else cool in there? Is that the one you wrote down?
Yeah. I mean, this probably isn't as cool to you, but it was another example of, this is a voice acting role, and I didn't know he did that at all. He played King Edmund from Rapunzel's Tangled Adventures.
He's in a Disney property?
Yeah, he was on 7 episodes between 2018 and 2020.
That's fucking crazy. No, Bruce Campbell's like really, really cool. He's very active on like Twitter and stuff, and he's very funny.
Oh yeah. He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
Ellen Sandweiss as Cheryl Williams. She played Cheryl in My Name Is Bruce. It's a movie about Bruce Campbell.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But like I think it's a fictional movie about Bruce Campbell.
A fake movie about Bruce
Yeah.
Campbell. That's
Kind of
cool.
like how there's that Nicolas Cage movie,
Mhm.
the Massive Weight.
of Unbearable Talent or whatever.
Yeah, something like that, where it's a Nicolas Cage movie about Nicolas Cage,
but it's
not
fictional. Yeah,
real.
that's actually pretty sweet.
Richard DeManicore, I think that's how you say his name, but I think he goes by Hal Delrich in the credits
Okay.
as Scott. He played Officer Garvey in Crime Wave.
Never heard of it.
That's fair. A lot of these actors are smaller, obviously, besides Bruce Campbell. Betsy Baker as Linda. She played Jocelyn Vickery from Sharp Objects. She was on 4 episodes in 2018. And Teresa Tilley. I think she's Sarah York in the credits. And just like with Richard DeManicore, that could be either or. I'm not sure. But she plays Shelley, and she was Jenna in the Prototype. All right. Writer-director. Do you know who it is?
I actually. Oh yeah. Why
You
did
should.
I almost said I don't know.
We
but
talk about it sometimes.
Yeah, we talk about. Well, we're talking about Spider-Man. Is what we talk about.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. It's Sam Raimi.
Yeah, it's Sam Raimi. He's the writer and director for this.
That's cool.
And he's also written and directed Darkman.
Darkman. What is that?
It's like a...
That sounds like really familiar, but I don't know what it is.
It's like kind of a vaguely comic book inspired horror movie.
Okay. That sounds fun, actually. That's a cool category idea.
You know what makes it really fun?
What?
Stars Liam Neeson.
Oh, that is sweet. But I assume it's like early 2000s Liam Neeson, where he was like pretty sweet and cool.
1990s.
90s Liam Neeson, even cooler. That's really sweet.
You don't see his face a lot. It's like wrapped in bandages, but
That's fine.
I believe. I haven't seen Darkman in forever.
Liam Neeson's just cool, man.
Yeah. Liam Neeson's knees.
I'm not doing this right now. I'm not going to get into the bit.
Why not?
Because I don't know if the audience can tell. My voice is raspy, and I don't have the energy for this.
I mean, that's fair.
I'm sure this podcast episode sounds like shit right now, and we're recording 3 episodes today. My voice is going to be shot by the end of it.
Doesn't sound too bad. Anyways, getting back to the Sam Raimi thing, I know we talk about him a lot because obviously I always think it's really, really funny that he did Spider-Man.
Well, yeah, it's hilarious.
But also because I just love some of his work, especially in the horror industry.
Sure.
I mean, this is probably the biggest example. But I really want to hammer home on that Spider-Man thing. We're going to watch this movie today.
Yeah.
And when we're done, I'm going to go, remember that this man made Spider-Man for children? And you're going to be like, oh.
This movie can't be that fucked up, man. Come on now.
It's not that fucked up, but it is NC-17 for a reason.
True. I hadn't thought about that.
Budget's estimated at $350,000.
That is like fuck all.
Pretty decent.
That's so low compared to the other stuff we normally get, though. You know.
Well,
what I mean?
yeah.
But I guess it is 81, and what? In 81, they had made... But in 80, they had made Friday the 13th for 300, so this is actually more.
Yeah, but you have to remember, this is like an independent feature. It's a B movie. They didn't get funding from a studio or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Box office. So this is a little bit weird because I got 2 different numbers, but it looks like the domestic, so for US and Canada, was 2.7 million, and then the worldwide was 29.4 million.
Holy shit.
So it did really good overseas. Not that great over here.
Yeah, but it still made a fuckload of money for
Still
a
a good
$350,000
amount,
budget.
though. Obviously, country of origin is the United States. It does have some alternative titles.
Ooh, let's go. I
The-
love these.
Working title is Into the Woods, which, I mean, we've done this joke
Stop.
before.
Stop. I
Nope.
don't like that musical that much.
I wonder if there's a baker and a witch, a boy named Jack,
Stop.
and a girl in a red hood.
I'll kill you.
I only made that joke because we made it like
2
3
weeks ago
episodes
or whatever?
this
Yeah.
season. Yeah. And then the premiere title was Book of the Dead.
Oh, that's a good title.
Fair enough. Tagline. So, again, another weird thing. I don't think it really had a tagline for a lot of its posters.
Okay.
At least not that I could find. However, It did have a quote on a lot of its, poster work and stuff because it was good advertising. Because it's a quote from someone famous. The most ferociously original horror film of the year from Stephen King.
Oh,
Author
from
of
good old
Carrie
well,
and
actually,
The Shining.
that was Stephen King in the 80s. He was probably really high on cocaine when he said that. So it's probably true.
That's great, yeah. I mean, did a lot of drugs.
Oh, he did so many drugs. I love Stephen King because he did so many drugs and then recovered and went, man, I did so many drugs. You guys want to hear about it in my book? His autobiography goes crazy.
Yeah.
It's actually like, I don't really like nonfiction that much. That is a book that I read from start to finish in like 2 days. He did some crazy shit.
The fact that he did not die is
Yes. Oh my god.
so surprising.
The number of car crashes he's been in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've talked about Dreamcatcher before. Like, he wrote that after a car
yeah.
crash.
On fucking pain meds.
Yeah. I think
That's so
that's when he
weird.
was getting sober, though.
Yeah.
Anyways, on to some facts for this film. I actually have a good amount today
Unsurprising.
because...
It's almost like when Ben gets excited for a movie, he writes a bunch of stuff down.
No, it's not that. It's more so because I'm often excited about films that other people are excited about.
Yeah.
And so there tends to be a lot of information about them that's accessible. Because that,
Mhm.
again, is kind of the big issue with us. It's like, we don't get Blu-rays before we do this, so research is hard. So this film is Sam Raimi's feature-length directorial debut.
That's fucking crazy.
So this is kind of like what he started with.
This is the first feature-length film he ever put out.
Yeah, he did a couple, like, shorts and stuff.
Yeah.
And some of those shorts were fairly long. Like, I think there's one that was movie length, but it wasn't like an actual film kind of stuff.
Okay.
Getting into that, this film is actually based on a 32-minute short entitled Within the Woods that he made in 1978.
Damn.
So that short cost an estimated $1,600, which pretty cheap.
That is very cheap.
And was created by Raimi, Campbell, and the producer Robert G. Tappert, as well as a couple of their friends, as a proof of concept for a full-length horror movie. So, obviously, The Evil Dead. They used that short to secure interest from investors for a full-length feature, and were able to secure roughly $90,000 needed to begin production on the film.
Hell yeah, dude. Good for them.
I believe outside of that, the rest of the money came from like family and friends. I think Campbell got like a bunch of it
Damn.
from his family,
That's pretty sweet.
which is why
honestly.
he's I believe he's a producer on this film as well.
That makes sense.
Now you might have noticed that like obviously Raimi and Campbell knew each other before the production of The Evil Dead.
Yeah, I didn't
From
know
that.
that.
They're actually like childhood friends.
That is so cool.
So not like since they were little, but they met in high school, and they had actually done a bunch of films together in the past. So a number of Raimi's like really early Super 8 films include Campbell. So shorts such as Clockwork, which they made in 1978, and It's Murder from 1977.
That's really cool.
So they were pretty familiar with each other, which is always nice to see in your directors. Kind of going to keep going on this whole Campbell rant, because I think that's fun. He's playing, Ashley Williams, who I'm sure just culturally, is a big deal. That was not really known going into this movie. That's kind of like a side effect of the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to note that, like, really one of the only reasons Campbell was cast as Ashley Williams was because he's the film's executive producer, and that made him one of the only actors willing to stay for the entire production process.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Because let's just say production kind of sucked. Not just the whole production processes and like editing and stuff, but like filming sucked.
Mm.
So principal photography took place on location in a remote cabin in Morristown, Tennessee.
Okay.
So the crew stayed there, the whole crew, and that includes like actors and stuff, during the length of production. And it was apparently really difficult. The cabin was small. There wasn't a lot of room. So lots of people were like sleeping on the floor and stuff. And while the cabin had phone lines so they could call out for stuff, it didn't have any plumbing.
Oh my god.
So obviously that means like no bathroom, which I mean, outhouses aren't like the worst.
No, they're not that bad.
But definitely no water either.
Yeah.
So you'd have to like go and get that somehow. Unless they had a water pump outside. But still,
No, that sucks.
not great.
Also, crazy that they all just slept in the fucking cabin.
It's like in the middle of the woods.
It's still crazy. Like,
It-
we're recording this movie in this cabin, but Joe just sleeps over there. You know what I'm
Clean up,
saying, bro?
guys.
Like, Joe, you're in the shot. Move, bro. Here we go from your nap.
So the cabin isn't there anymore.
Oh, that sucks.
I think it burnt down.
Oh.
I think there's still like parts of the chimney still around, and people like steal bricks from it. It's in an undisclosed location, so it's hard to find, but I'm sure you can find the location just floating around on the internet. And it's not that far. It's in like Tennessee, but
True. We should make a trip. We should make a journey out of it.
that'd be cool. But supposedly it's in the middle of nowhere, so it would have taken them a while to get back and forth. Would have
Mhm.
cost money for gas to get the whole crew there. Take away from production time, so it makes sense to stay there.
No, but like,
It's just shitty.
no, yeah, that's more. I like that's crazy.
It's just
Yeah, we're gonna
shitty.
all sleep on the set
Well, it's better than like tents.
with no water, and have to poop in a shed.
You assume they had a shed.
I hope they had a shed.
Everyone grabbed the buckets.
Oh no.
No, they make like the bucket toilets. You know what I'm talking about? The chemical toilets.
Yeah, but they definitely didn't have those. They definitely just dug a hole and pooped in it.
Probably. So yeah, that wasn't great conditions. To make matters worse, Raimi was apparently just nasty to actors on set
Oh my god.
in order to get a better film. Kind of like the Kubrick experience of like,
oh my god.
if you push your actors, they give a better performance. Which, I hate to be this person,
Stop.
but that is objectively true.
I don't. But human rights, Ben.
It sucks. Like, it sucks so much to do that. And it's really shitty, and you hear horror stories from films where directors did that to their actors.
There are quite a few of them.
Kubrick is probably the most famous for just being horrific. But there's definitely others. Because, again, it works. I mean, we watched Alien on the podcast.
Yeah.
And we talked about how they tried to make everyone really, really upset with each other
Yeah.
to make the film better. And it shows.
It shows and it kind of works, but it's still just fucking batshit.
But it's like, oh, yeah, suffer for your art. But really funny example of him just being a dickhead is apparently during one of the takes, Campbell hurt his ankle. I believe he fell down a hill and he got a cut. And apparently for the rest of production, Raimi spent the entire time just poking it with a stick.
That's fucked up.
Okay, so that sounds really mean, but remember they've known each other since high school and they're
Yeah.
college kids.
Honestly, I'll be real, Ben.
And then it's like, oh wait, no, that sounds exactly like something a dumbass, like early 20-year-old would do.
I'd do that to you if it was funny enough. Like, if I knew you were going to get, like, not actually mad at me and you were just going to, like, be annoyed, I'd probably do it. That's so true.
All right, moving off production. Effects seen in the film were done by a man named Tom Sullivan. The film did its world premiere at the Redford Theater, Detroit, on October 15th, 1981, and that attracted the interest of producer Irvin Shapiro, who helped screen the film at the 1982 Cannes Film Festival. It was there that Stephen King gave a review of the film, and that's essentially what allowed it to get distribution rights from New Line Cinema, which gave it its worldwide theatrical release on April 15th, 1983.
Damn, it didn't get a worldwide release for, like, 2 years. That's crazy.
Yeah, like I said, B-movie, independent film, you had to get there somehow. So
Yeah.
that's not an uncommon thing where you'll tour film festivals for a while and
Yeah.
then get picked up. I mean, we've seen that before.
No, it's just really cool.
I think the difference is that a lot of the times when we're talking about modern films that tour film festivals, they get picked up faster
Yeah.
because we have more streaming services.
That makes more sense. There's more places to put it, and, like, there's more money just floating around to pick up stuff like that nowadays.
Yep. Because it's like, for studios nowadays, it's like, oh, no, this is really great because it's already made.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to pay for it.
Yep.
There's no, like, risk for us aside from financial, and that's cheaper than our time.
Yeah. I mean, it's just cheaper than paying a whole nother crew to make and writers to make something original.
Yep.
When people are already making news,
and it's already tested because it's at a film festival. Yeah. Kind of last note before we get into the movie, at least for me, for facts, is that this film would go on to spawn 2 direct sequels, a remake / reimagining in 2013.
Yep.
I do need to stress it's similar structure-wise.
Mhm.
So for a lot of people, they think it's a remake, but it's supposed to be a reimagining. And then a spin-off film in 2023,
Yep.
as well as a TV show.
I forgot about the show.
Ash vs. the Evil Dead.
Yep.
I believe it's the name of it. Additionally, there is everything from video games to comic books.
Oh man, I actually really want to read some of the Evil Dead comics.
Well, we're going to get through 2 of the 3 movies required for reading those comics today.
There's also, now that we've talked about the Evil Dead, there's also the Magic the Gathering crossover with that Evil Dead Secret Lair.
Oh,
Where you can get the Ash card. That I think it's called the Wandering Paladin. But it's Ash
that
from
makes
Evil
sense.
Dead. And I think there's some Deadite tokens. Like the zombie tokens, but they look like Deadites.
Oh, Deadites are so scary.
I'm so scared of them right now. I don't know what to expect. I don't know a ton about this film.
I don't want to get into too much because I know you know. Like, what do you know?
Well, I don't know how much to spoil this is, but I've seen. Is it in Army of Darkness where he gets a chainsaw arm? I don't know when that happens, but Ash gets a chainsaw arm and it's fucking sweet.
That does happen eventually, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just because you've seen pictures of him.
Yeah. I mean, like, what? I know the Necronomicon's in here, so Spooky Book, Cabin in the Woods, Undead Nightmare.
Yeah.
That's all I got
it?
for you.
Okay. You know the
which is just what happens in Cabin in the Woods.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Now,
I just put that together.
This is basically what popularized Cabin in the Woods
sweet
as a genre. That's why, and I mentioned it in every film we've watched in this category this season, and I was like, wow, that house looks identical to the Evil Dead house, and you will see it. It's like
1-to-1.
1-to-1, basically.
That's
Or it's
awesome.
at least as close as they could get it. I guess before we move on, you know the Necronomicon's like a Lovecraft thing, right?
Yeah, it's like a collection of all of his works.
Yeah, but it's mentioned in Lovecraft, so using the Necronomicon in this movie is a reference.
No, Jesse owns like the one you can buy.
It's a decent collection.
Yeah.
Not bad. All right. Do you have anything else? Questions?
Nah.
Concerns?
Oh, concerns, yes.
All right.
Well, okay, but actually, one more thing before we go. Do I need the trash can?
I'm never a good judge of that. I would say better safe than sorry.
Okay, I'll get it before we start the recording for the movie.
Okay. Well then, guys, we're going to be back in a minute.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in a minute. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We just finished watching The Evil Dead 1981.
You just get to call it The Evil Dead.
Isn't the remake called The Evil Dead?
No, it's just called Evil Dead.
Are you serious?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I thought I would have to say the year because I thought it was shared the same name.
No, I think it's just Evil Dead.
Well, now I feel like an asshole.
No. You don't just feel like it.
Come on, man.
You are an asshole.
We just got back from a...
Yeah, it's just Evil Dead. And this is The Evil Dead.
Okay.
And then Evil Dead Rise is the new one. And then Evil Dead 2 is the second one.
But there's no Evil Dead 3.
No, that's Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
Got it? Good. All right. So, what do you think? You like it? I think that's the most important question.
Would you be mad if I told you I hated it?
I mean, I'd be concerned.
I'm a liar.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it, but I did like it. I thought it was very fun. It was a lot different than I expected, though. There was a lot of stuff that I was expecting that didn't happen that was cool.
Yes, but was it stuff you were expecting because you think you know things about this film?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of not the movie's fault then.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was very different than what I expected from the film.
Yeah.
But in a good way. It was, like, more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
That's good. I guess I can do a brief rundown.
Sure.
And then we can get into it. Obviously, if you don't know anything about this film, go watch it. It's
yeah,
great.
go watch it.
And it's definitely great to watch this film blind. But with that being said, I guess I'll just do a brief description, and then we'll get into, like, spoiler territory and stuff like that. Like I said in my brief description, it's about 5 friends who are going out to a cabin that they rented from some dude in the middle of the woods. And while they're there, they end up going into the creepy basement. And in the creepy basement...
I would say they end up being invited into the creepy basement.
I'm sorry, you're right. Creepy cellar. Thank you for correcting me. They go into the creepy cellar.
That's not even what I said. That has nothing to do with what I said.
I mean, I know. I just ignored it. Anyways, they go into the cellar, and in there they find a book with a literal human face on it, because
Yeah.
it's bound in human skin and inked in blood, and a recording. And when they play the recording, there's a dude talking in some language.
Doesn't he say it's like Sumerian?
Well, it's probably ancient Sumerian, but I'm not sure if it's actually ancient
It's definitely
Sumerian.
probably not ancient Sumerian, but you know.
And when they do so, they kind of summon some evil stuff.
Yeah.
Some might even say the evil dead.
Sure.
And yeah, that's the movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of it. Look, I like this film. It is so basic and plot-wise.
It's straightforward.
It's very straightforward.
But then again, it kind of popularized a lot of the stuff that
Yep.
where Bob's thinking is very straightforward, so it makes sense. With that being said, spoilers from here on out. We're going to try and avoid major spoilers. But I don't know how we're going to do that.
I was about to say, I don't know if we can.
So we're going to kind of spoil a lot here.
Yeah.
We'll do our best. So if you want to watch this film without spoilers, go watch it now. Again, highly recommend it. I love it. It's great.
It's very good.
That being
Well,
said,
I don't know if good is the word I would use. That's how I feel. Like, objectively, I don't know if it's a good film. Did I like it? Oh, absolutely. Was it a fun time? For sure. But it's so bad in a fantastic way.
do you want to get more specific than that?
Like, I like Bruce Campbell.
Right.
But some of his reactions to some of the things on screen are just so ridiculous and over the top and insane. And it's so... But it's like hammed up in such a fun, entertaining way that it's like, that is not the reaction you should be having right now, but it's awesome.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's got that B-movie quality mixed with some actual good movie elements that make it so much fun to watch.
Like I said, I think in the opener, this is like peak B movie.
It is. It
And
really is.
I say that not only because, obviously, this movie went on to inspire a bunch of stuff, but it firmly sits into, like, the B-movie category of
Yes.
horror films. You know, it's cheesy, it feels cheap at times,
Mhm.
but you can tell everyone's trying really hard.
Yeah.
But more than that, I mean, Sam Raimi is an impressive director, and while he's very unpolished at this point in time, you can really tell that, like, there's a good director behind the camera.
Yeah, he's going for a lot of really, really big cinematic stuff on, like, no money. So it looks a bit goofy, but it works and is fun.
Yeah, and I think that's just the general vibe of this film, where it's like they shoot for the stars, and you can tell everyone's doing their best. Does it always live up to that? Maybe not, but because everyone tries so hard and because the script is really working with them,
Mm-hmm.
it pulls it off.
Yeah. Like, they do... I'm going to talk about this immediately because it's probably one of my favorite things in the entire film. They do lots of really good callback stuff. Like, there's a moment, and it's so funny to me because I didn't realize it until it was happening, where Ash is, like, basically fucking with, her name is Linda?
Yes.
I got all the girls mixed up because there are 3 of them. He's messing with Linda and acting like he's asleep. And then she does it to him later on in the film in a very different and funny way. There's just small stuff like that that's... Because it's just so goofy. Like, it's so stupid. But it's so entertaining and funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of stupid elements into this film. It's not a dark comedy or anything like that, but there is some
It's
humor.
It's not dark comedy. It's B-movie charm.
Yeah.
It's very different than something like, I don't know, Tucker and Dale.
Well, yeah, that's a straight up comedy.
Well, that was what my point I was making. Like, it doesn't lean into the comedy aspect on purpose. The comedy aspect is there because it's, like, awkward, but it's fun.
Yeah. And also, I think Sam Raimi himself is a pretty humorous writer,
Fair.
and it just comes through that way. So, I think the best way to talk about this film is we can break it up into a couple things to talk about.
Sure.
Right off the bat, because I think it's the first thing you note about this film, and it's very important, is how wild and yet impressive some of the cinematography is.
The cinematography of this film is so weird,
It's
but
pure.
it's cool.
It's pure Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest here, but tons of shots where like they're tilted,
Mm-hmm.
so everything is like sideways or at least slanted. But the shots that I think stick with people, especially because it's how the film opens, is there's these insane first-person shots.
Yeah.
Where the camera is, like, flying around. In fact, the film opens with, like, there's a crappy little title credits. But then we see this camera fly over the bog.
Mm-hmm.
I say we see the camera fly over the bog. We, as the audience, like, fly over this bog and just through the forest. And it's really, really impressive.
Oh, it's really cool.
And the whole film is, like, filled with stuff like that. And what you have to understand is this is not only a low-budget film, but this is a low-budget film in 1981.
Mm-hmm.
So all these first-person shots are insane. Especially stuff over, like, water.
Yeah.
Because they don't have, like, drones.
No.
So I think it's really cool how they had to get all those. They basically had to do, I guess you would say, custom rigs for their camera.
That's sweet.
Because they couldn't afford Steadicam stuff. So for, like, the camera flying over the water, they basically taped the camera. I say taped. They attached the camera to a large pole. And then they had people run with the pole, like, next to the body of water.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
And then for all the stuff in the forest, it was oftentimes Sam Raimi with, like, a makeshift rig that he'd wear, and he would just start sprinting.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's all really impressive.
Yeah, well, I do agree with you. It's all really impressive. It lacks the polish of, like, a seasoned director, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
a lot of it's, like, really clunky, but in a fun, entertaining way.
in defense, a lot of it's clunky because they didn't have professional rigs.
Also
and
that.
a lot of the tilting and weird stuff about it.
Mm-hmm.
Once you realize, oh, wait, this is a camera on a very long pole,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it's bobbing because of that, or, oh, these running through the forest shots seems like they're a little choppy and up and down. It's almost like someone's running. It's that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Again, I think it really leads into that B-movie charm, but it kind of fits into that whole category of the director's really pushing stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like beyond the bounds of probably what he should be attempting with the
Yeah.
budget he has and the resources.
Yeah, no, there's also some really good stuff, like, there is a ton of fog in this film. And
Oh, a ton.
I would say it's an egregious amount. Like, I'll be honest, I get why they did it, and we'll talk about that.
It looks really cool, and
It looks really sweet. That's what I was going to say. They set up the fog a lot to have light come through it and create these really sweet effects that the camera picks up from the angles they're shooting from, and that's really cool.
and I'm gonna be honest, this film was made in 1981, so it's never intended to be watched in HD.
Yeah.
The fog probably looks more distinct in HD than it would in, like, SD
Yeah.
or on VHS. So it probably just stands out to us more than it was supposed to.
True.
But yeah, it is everywhere. Like,
It's
it's inside
everywhere.
the house, it's outside the house.
It's coming out of people, inside of people. Just, it's everywhere. It's literally everywhere. But we haven't talked about it, and I'm going to move on to this right now. A big part of this film, a surprising part of this film is what I should say, is, like, the supernatural element that comes in. Because in my mind, I expected something more akin to the movie that we watched earlier this season, Cabin in the Woods, where it's like, oh, just some random schmuck zombies coming out of the ground and, like, attacking people. Whatever, you know? Like, they're supposed to be undead, scary creatures. In this, there's, like, a level of mysticism that I didn't expect. And the fog ties into that in a lot of interesting ways.
Yeah.
Because it's used as, like, an indicator of, like, magic happening. There's a lot more, like, straight up magic in this film than I was expecting.
Yeah, I'd say supernatural elements
Yeah.
rather than magic. It's not as distinct as that.
Yeah, I guess my point is more like it's, like, completely unexplainable bullshit. But it's fun, so it's fine. I don't care.
yeah, it's fun.
Like, it's just interesting because I expected it to be the only really supernatural element to be, oh, yeah, there are undead things.
Yeah, and I'm going to put this out here. I feel like were a little confused because what the movie was kind of clashed against your expectations there.
I mean, not really. Because you eventually get to the straight up zombie things, but there was so much more build up to it than I expected. Like, there was so much more, like, downtime and, like, there was actual lore, which I was surprised by. I was like, they're explaining stuff to me in this film?
Oh, yeah.
They're explaining stuff to me in this film when I don't think I deserve an explanation, nor did I expect it, because I was like, oh, it's a B movie.
No, but again, like I said, they try.
No, it's really well thought out and actually interesting and cool.
You know, not to skip on from cinematography, but I think it's also interrelated to your whole fog aspect. They do a really good job with the sets in this.
No, it looks really cool.
it's this shitty little cabin in the woods that they found.
That has like 3 rooms, maybe.
Maybe. It's really small. The film does kind of make it look smaller than it is.
True.
And then there's a shed and a cellar. But I think they did a good job of not only picking a location that looks old and run down, but is significantly like well decorated.
Yeah.
With stuff to make it look not necessarily abandoned, but like an old cabin that
I mean,
no
it's
one
creepy
goes
as
to.
shit.
And yeah, it's creepy. I mean, the shed has like bones hanging from the ceiling for
Yeah.
no reason.
The cellar looks insane.
It's dank and dark.
It's dank, dark, and scary, yeah. No, I really like the setting stuff. Like, and also there's a lot of stuff in the forest, which, I mean, cabin
Yeah.
in the woods. The woods are actually
Present.
present and fairly important in this film, and I think that's cool.
But I do want to note here for setting stuff, because we've already talked about like how hard it was to shoot there.
Yeah.
Because it's a small cabin and they didn't have a lot of stuff to work with. There is a bathroom shot in the movie.
I'd mentioned this in the or during the movie.
And, from my research I was looking at, it didn't look like they had plumbing.
Yeah.
So my assumption there is the bathroom shot in the film is either they made it,
Which I think is awesome.
which it kind of looks like because if you tell the walls are like
Yeah.
plastic,
Mm-hmm.
or it's shot somewhere else. Because they basically had to work with what they'd have,
Mhm.
and they'd have to finagle stuff to work with the script. And I mentioned that because there's a very big thing that, setting-wise, they had to make work. Did you pick up on it?
What?
The cellar. That cabin
Oh.
does not have a cellar.
Wait, really?
Yeah. So
What?
apparently, what they had to do is they cut a square hole into the floor of the cabin.
No fucking way.
And then they dug it's like a 12-foot hole. And I think they put some fake steps for that one shot downwards where they go over top. And
Yeah.
then everything else is perspective to trick you into thinking that hole goes down into the actual cellar.
No fucking way.
And then
That's so sweet.
the actual cellar is shot somewhere else.
That is so fucking cool. Considering we haven't really gotten to it. There's someone in the cellar basically the whole film.
Yep. And so that's someone just in the pit.
That's fucking rad.
And then there's a bunch of other scenes where we get POV from the cellar, so the
Yeah.
cameraman had to be down there. There's a couple good takes where people are looking down into the cellar, so the cameraman had to be looking up. Yeah, just really working with what they had there, but
That's fucking rad, bro.
pretty cool.
Holy shit.
Is there anything else for setting and camera work you want to mention?
I was just thinking about that.
Or do you want to move on to
No.
some of the monster discussion?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
I have one more thing. And I don't know how important this is. To me personally, I just thought this was really cool. They have really cool, because cabin in the woods, so they're in the woods. When they're outside, they do really cool shots of the moon. And, do a cool, effect. Where it'll get covered by, black fog. It's not clouds. It looks more like smog.
So
And it looks really cool.
I describe it as shadow.
Yeah.
I think technically it is black clouds, where it's like clouds, but they're not lit up because it's nighttime.
But it looks way more menacing than clouds.
It's a great effect. I think the only issue I have with it, because it's very noticeable and it
Yeah.
looks really good, is that they basically do it every time we get an outside shot.
Yeah, but
Is the moon is full and uncovered, and then they'll cover the moon. And every time it looks cool, but every time I'm like,
again?
again?
Yeah. I just thought I'd mention it because it looks cool and I like it.
Okay, I thought you were going to bring up the bridge stuff.
Oh, we can talk about the bridge.
Where they do some pretty cool sequences with this rickety bridge.
Yeah, the bridge is good.
It's a lot of fun. They do reuse the same clip of some wood falling.
Multiple times.
They use it twice, but they use the back end of it the second time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool. They get some undershots of the bridge. At one point,
Yeah.
we get to see this nice framing shot of the car's tire goes through a hole, and then we see Ashley look over.
I was about to say, that's one of the funniest scenes because Ashley leans out of the car and goes, oh, and then shuts the door and they spin off and leave.
I think that's a good proof that Bruce Campbell's really good at I don't know, physical comedy.
Yeah, he hams it up a lot in this
He
film.
doesn't
and
really-
It's sweet.
He doesn't really use that talent in this film, but it is cool. Anything else on that aspect of the film? Setting stuff, camera work?
No, but we could talk about something else where we get to monster stuff.
Oh, what did you want to bring up?
That's more relevant to this stuff because
Oh.
the monster stuff is so cool.
Oh, I know.
And I wanna
just gonna
talk
get
about
into that.
But I want to get everything else out of the way first because I feel like most of the episode is going to be this. We can talk about the music.
Oh, did you like it?
Yes, I actually really like the music in this film.
Shocker.
Shut up.
Bob likes the soundtrack from the 80s.
Shut up, bro. Come on. It's good.
It is good, and I do like how they have a variety of different pieces that are very distinct.
That's what I wanted to talk about. Look, you're making my point for me.
For instance, the one that sticks with me is there's like a leitmotif for Linda and Ash as a relationship, and what they work with is they'll interweave it with other parts of the film to indicate that like it's an Ash and Linda moment.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, here's where I mentioned, Ash is kind of our main character, but then there's Linda, and that's his girlfriend.
Yeah. There's also the other people.
Yeah, we'll get into that later.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a ton of different musical pieces. They all sound distinct. There's some fun instruments in them too, just like some weird sounds.
There's bongos at some point, and it's really good. I was surprised by the bongos, I guess. For me personally, there's a lot of more variable music than I expected, but it also has that sort of classic cinematic style of soundtrack in a certain way, you know what I mean? Like, it's very predictable, but in a really fun way because the movie is playing into those tropes, so the fact that it's playing the music you expect is fun.
Yeah, I mean, the soundtrack has some weirdness to it. Like, you can
It's a
tell
little strange.
it's a B-movie soundtrack, but it's written for this movie in a professional way, like using cues and leitmotifs and stuff like that. So it comes off as very well done.
Yeah.
Even when there's some weird stuff like bongos or other sound effects in parts of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And that being said, the weird parts of the soundtrack do match the weird parts of this film, so it totally works.
That was something that I was pretty surprised by and I thought was fun. Now we can move on to whatever you want.
Okay. So, I want to talk about the monstery elements of this film.
Okay.
But before we get into that, I think it's
my
important
God.
that we do a brief rundown of the characters. Because if
Sure.
we're going to talk about them in the monster segment, it's probably important that you know who they are.
That's fair.
Because I haven't mentioned any of them by name, except for Linda and Ash. All right. So, first of all, we have Ash.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with the franchise, you'll know he's essentially the main character of this movie. Because he's in other films. I do want to note here, and it's kind of something you have to frame your mind around, but obviously going into this film, people wouldn't know that Ash is supposed to be like the main character.
Yeah, which makes him so surprising.
And I would actually like to note that the movie, at least for the first 2/3, does not frame Ash like the main character.
No, it frames the group as the main character.
I would argue it frames Scott as the main character because he's a lot more take charge in the traditional main character kind of way in a film like this.
I would guess so, but like I guess from my perspective, and maybe it's skewed.
It's obviously more about the group.
It's
but
more about the group than it is about the individual, which I think is fun.
There's definitely some tricks being played on like you can't tell who's going to survive.
Yeah, for
end.
sure.
So yeah, there's Ash. The other guy in the group is Scott. Just mentioned him. Scott's a dick.
Scott does suck a little bit.
That's kind of like his main defining trope.
Yeah, which I think is so interesting when you compare it to Ash because, coming in, I think of Ash from Army of Darkness, which I've seen clips of, who is not the same character. Well, is the same character, but is very different.
He's very different because he's been through traumatic
Yeah,
shit.
there's a time skip, I assume, some between there. But Ash in this movie feels like a naive, like, goofball of an individual.
Well, Ash is written as the everyman.
Yeah.
And Scott is like the confident dickhead kind of.
Which,
I don't want to say jock, but like popular dude.
Yeah, which makes the fact that Ash is the main character so fun because he has such like different reactions to shit than you would expect from a main character in a film like this.
Like I said, he's not traditionally the one you expect to survive.
Which is cool. It makes it fun.
Yeah. But Scott, we went over briefly. He's the dickhead character. You're not supposed to necessarily like him. At one point, he points a gun at Ash's face. It's like a joke, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, it's like, you shouldn't do that. I know it's not loaded because you just looked and we see it, but like, please don't do that, stupid.
Then we have both Ash and Scott's girlfriends. So Scott's girlfriend's name is Shelly, which is just a funny name.
It is just a funny name.
And then Ash's girlfriend's name is Linda. And it's obviously supposed to be a couples retreat. And so I think it's really funny that the fifth person is Ash's sister, who is, do you remember?
No.
Cheryl.
Cheryl, that's what it was. I knew it was an S name. I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah. And I think the film actually does a fun way of framing her as like the fifth wheel, because I don't know if you remember, this film opens with, besides that whole like POV shot, we get to see the group driving in their car down the road.
Yeah.
And it's framed specifically that you don't see Cheryl until like a minute or two
Yeah.
of them in the car. And it's
Until
like,
it cuts to her talking.
oh, you're here. Which
Yeah.
I think is very fun. And that's how she's treated
True.
for the most part. And I will note that I'm fairly sure she's Ashley's sister.
Yeah.
And there's some indications, like she's the only one who calls Ashley, or like when she's in trouble, she calls her Ashley instead of anyone else. But it's never like explicitly stated, I don't think.
Yeah, you told me that, and I was like, that is crazy because it blows me away. I didn't know that.
But I think it's important to mention because it makes certain interactions much more horrifying.
Much more horrifying, and some of the interactions much more funny.
Yeah.
Because it's like, God damn it.
With all that being said, I think we can get into some of the whole magic stuff
Sure.
now, or mysticism, whatever you want to call it. So, the main antagonist in The Evil Dead, and the Evil Dead franchise at large, are generally referred to as the Deadites.
I would say it's not, well, okay.
That's just what they're called.
I think the evil people are the Kandarians, I'll be real.
That's different.
No, I know, but it's their fault.
So, they're called the Deadites. And I think legitimately they are like the scariest thing in all of horror. At the very least for me, they're probably the most dangerous.
I mean, okay, I know this is not how this works because this movie came out after. But they're essentially Return of the Living Dead zombies. They're the same, not the same thing.
Sort of.
Well, yeah, sort of. You're right.
So it's more complicated than that.
It is more complicated, but it's a similar concept.
So how this works is that there's the Necronomicon, which is like this book of essentially spells, right?
Yeah.
But the main one in there is a summoning spell for Kandarian demons, which just some demons essentially.
Yeah.
And those demons are what are responsible for the Deadites. Essentially, they are, for lack of a better term, spirits. They don't have a physical form, and what they do is they possess people, and those people, when they're possessed, are referred to as Deadites. And what makes them so scary, and why Bob likened Deadites to return zombies, is because they are functionally unkillable.
Yep.
When a Deadite possesses a person, you can't just like give them a headshot. You can't just stab them or anything, because at least my understanding of it is that body really isn't alive anymore.
Yeah.
When it's being possessed by a Deadite, it is like a puppet being puppeted by, well, this spirit. And I think that's what makes them so scary.
No, it does make them very scary.
The film, I think, makes this really cool point of establishing really early on that the only way to deal with them is bodily dismemberment.
You have to cut them apart.
And it's not because cutting them apart kills them.
It's because they just can't hurt you anymore.
Yep.
Which is sweet.
Even that's debatable because they can still grab you or something.
I guess they do make a point to be like, if you burn them alive, like turn them to ash, it would do the same thing, I guess.
Theoretically. But the thing I want to note about, Deadites and Kandarian demons and stuff, and why I think they're so scary is, and this might be something that makes sense for Bob, because I think he was confused at parts, is that you have to remember that Kandarian demons aren't just the Deadites, they're these spirits. And so one of the parts of this film that's really cool is, while the main antagonists are the Deadites, these zombie things they're controlling, these possessed people, another part is the demons just kind of fly around and we can't see them, but they'll control other things.
Yeah.
And a big one is like the forest.
Yeah.
When they're first summoned, they're controlling the trees.
Oh, God, I want to talk about this.
And they very we have to mention it because it is the most famous point in this movie. It's considered fairly controversial, and Sam Raimi's even come out and been like, yeah, I kind of regret doing that. And maybe it wasn't in the best taste. But for instance, in one scene, they control the trees and they use them to assault Cheryl.
Yeah.
Sexually assault her. It's fairly graphic.
Yeah. No, it was surprisingly graphic, in fact.
Not entirely, though, because it's done through framing
and
sound effects rather than, being super explicit. I do want to mention again the fact that this man directed Spider-Man.
Stop.
And also, I watched this film for the first time with my mom.
I forgot about that. Come on, man.
So, that's kind of funny.
Kind of funny.
Not the sequence, the awkwardness that
the
was watching
awkwardness
this
of
with
watching
my
with your
mom.
mom at the age of 12.
With that being said, yeah, the fact that these like spirits are able to control people and then also stuff
Objects, yeah.
makes them really freaky. And what I think is so cool about that, and it's actually like a nice little characterization moment that the story gives to these creatures, is these demons are spirits, right? And they're just possessing these people as puppets.
Yeah.
And they know that they are like unkillable godlike beings because they can control whatever they want. And so having that foreknowledge that like basically them doing whatever they want a foregone conclusion, they're written as sadistic and they like fucking with people.
Yeah.
And that is one of my favorite things about the Deadites in The Evil Dead, is that they don't just like straight up try to kill people right away. They like to psychologically torture people. And the back half of this film is basically Ash getting fucked with.
Yeah, for a while.
And it's great. And I just wanted to mention that because it seemed to confuse you sometimes. Or maybe not confuse you, but you were like, why aren't you killing him?
Yeah, I mean, like, and maybe it's because I was expecting it to be more like a traditional, like, slasher film. But, like, slasher villains usually don't fuck with their victims too much unless it has a purpose. And the Deadites are just actually trolling the piss out of this man for a while.
It's because the Deadites know it's like, we're going to win.
Yeah.
This is an unfair
They literally
fight.
can't lose.
So why not have fun with it?
Oh, okay. So something we haven't talked about, and something that I want to mention right now while we're still on the topic of the Deadites and everything, is, you can only really stop them by dismembering them. They can get stunned a little bit if you stab them with the dagger.
Yeah, so Bob says the dagger. So there's the Kandarian dagger, which is one of the things they find in the basement. So
Yeah.
it's this tape which has... That's kind of the backstory. There's a professor who went to, I think they say, the ruins of Kandar.
Yeah.
I don't know if they say ever where they are
No.
in this film, but they do say they're ancient Sumerian,
Yeah.
which would make you assume Africa. In either case, he basically brought them to this cabin to like study with his wife in, I don't want to say secret, but just in isolation so he could focus. But
Yeah.
he has a recording, and that's where he recorded himself reading the stuff. And so that's how they summon the demons. The book, and then the dagger. And it's never explained what the dagger's for exactly.
Yeah.
Assumedly, it's just a sacrificial dagger.
Mm-hmm.
But like Bob said, it stuns the Deadites when they're stabbed.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It like blood
like,
comes out of
hisses,
the handle, and it hisses, and the Deadites smoke, and they spit up
Which makes sense.
milk.
They spit up a white liquid.
I think it's supposed to be pus.
Which is cool because a lot of the smoke being just like the embodiment of the Deadites and seeing it everywhere makes sense.
Yeah, so for me, with the Kandarian dagger, my assumption for it, like how it works, is that it's not necessarily like stunning the Deadites so much as it's maybe temporarily forcing the Kandarian demon out of the body.
Yeah, which is cool.
Which is why sometimes we see like smoke come out of the stab wounds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember where I heard this, but I've heard someone suggest that when we see the victim spit up milk, like after they're stabbed, that's like denoting that the victim's soul is leaving that body.
Oh my god.
So you could reference the dagger as a way to like save the victim's soul, which the demons were like keeping.
Oh, that's fucking crazy. That's cool.
So I don't know. I think the dagger's cool. Doesn't really necessarily have a great purpose in this movie.
No, nor is it explained very well.
Because it doesn't kill them.
No.
But it's cool.
It is cool.
I will mention here, too, along the lines of the Deadites fucking with people, one of the best things they can do is when they possess people, the people they're possessing get gradually grosser and grosser.
They get really gross.
But it's very obvious that this is all optional.
Yeah.
And the Deadites are able to switch between looking and sounding like that person would normally and their gross Deadite appearance so they can do more psychological torture.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always great.
They can also just imitate the person's voice no matter what, even if they look gross.
Oh yeah, they don't even have to be in the person.
No, they could just sound like whoever.
Like I said, they're really scary. They're really cool. I love them. It's unclear when they leave or what seals them away, because I will mention there's some mysterious happenings before they read the book for the
True.
first time, which implies that the Deadites are still kicking around from when the
The professor.
professor originally summoned them, and that they just kind of went into stasis, which
Oh,
I
yeah.
think is important to mention.
It's interesting because like the movie starts and just supernatural BS just starts happening. I go, this motherfucker's haunted already.
Well, that's why we start the film with a POV shot, which is throughout the film used to denote
The Kandarian
POV of
spirits,
the-
yeah,
Kandarian demons.
which is cool.
Did you like them though?
No.
Okay.
I liked that the film opened with the POV stuff because it comes back in later and makes more sense. It's kind of akin to what the Cabin in the Woods did, where it showed you stuff at the beginning that was not explained at all, and then eventually explains it and makes it more interesting and cool over time.
Yeah, I think it's cool to work in some of the more out there cinematography stuff into the more out there elements of this universe.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Do you have anything else you want to mention about them though? Because we can move on to I think the last and most important point of this film.
I mean,
which
we haven't really covered
are the
how
practical effects.
I was going to talk about how we haven't really covered how good the Deadites look.
Oh no, they look great, but
They look fantastic.
practical effects, right?
Yeah,
So,
I mean that's just part of it, right?
yeah, all the makeup's really great.
It looks really good.
They, to denote someone's like possessed by Deadites, they tend to make them look. I guess the best way I referred to it is like old and wrinkly.
Yeah. Rotten is a good one,
Not,
but not really.
maybe bloated kind of
Yeah.
stuff, like a body that's been left in like the water
Mm.
but hasn't swollen. I don't know. But it looks like it's achieved maybe through some thin wrapping paper, like tissue paper, where you put
Mm.
glue down on someone
I didn't think about
and
doing
then
it
some
like
white
that.
powder and stuff. I don't know. It's all like pretty. I don't want to say basic practical effects, but it's all makeup effects.
Yeah.
But they're like full body and they're all very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
They do some great work on hands.
I was gonna say they do some like good dismemberment stuff and like limb stuff.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like the makeup on hands.
the
is
makeup on
really
hands does
great.
look really good.
I think that is a glove for a lot of them. But yeah, they just go really, really hard with a lot of makeup. And then, like Bob said, there are some great chopped up body bits
Yep.
and bleeding and all that stuff.
They went so hard with like the viscera and like blood splatter stuff in this film too. And it all looks really good. The amount of times Ash has blood just like spewed all over his face is just hilarious.
Yeah, and then there's some great physical stuff too that they do with practical stuff.
Yeah.
There's at one point where one of the characters hits one of the Deadites with an axe, and you get to see it on screen. And that's because they built like a fake body with a fake head, and they hit it really quickly with a real axe.
And it looks really good.
looks really great. There's some stuff where we get to see people's heads chopped off, shot,
The shotgun shot stuff is really good.
and stuff explodes the way you want it to, or it gets
Mhm.
cut. There's one sequence where the camera goes through a window. That's a real glass window, by the way.
That's sweet.
Because they were just using the cabin's real windows. Super dangerous.
Oh, it's
because the man
stupid.
with the camera had to do that.
but it's cool.
Yeah, everything looks really great. It's also a great example of using whatever you can to make stuff look gross.
Yeah.
We talked about the milk. I'm pretty sure it's milk.
But
It's
I
like a
hope it's
white,
milk.
milky substance. I think it's supposed to look like a liquidy kind of pus stuff.
I don't know what else it would be.
But there's also like one scene later on in the film where we see a Deadite kind of rot
Mm-hmm.
because, spoilers here, Ash does somewhat deal with the Deadites at the end of the film.
Kind of.
Kind of. By, not to spoil too much, let's say damaging the Necronomicon.
Yeah.
Because there seems to be a link between the book and at least keeping the Kandarian demons active.
Mm-hmm.
And when he damages the book, the corpses under their control rot. And
Yeah.
there's great effects there. We'll talk about that in a second. But they use did you tell what it was? It comes out of one of the guy's sleeves. It was like a white thing.
Oh, it
oozing
looked
out.
like grits.
Yeah, it was great.
It looked like grits, but it was still gross.
But it looks good.
it
And
does look good.
it's kind of fitting in that same category of you can do a lot with really little
Mhm.
as long as you work with it. I mean, it's kind of in a similar vein as Sleepaway Camp, where the bee sting sequence.
Yeah.
And they have I think they're raspberries
Uh-huh.
for the bee stings. So I think all that's really cool. It's really creative. None of it's like high budget practical effects. It's all stuff they had to make in a shitty little cabin in
But
the
it
woods.
all looks great.
But it looks great. A lot of work went into it.
I got so grossed out. I almost threw up. And you know, it's a spoiler for the outtakes. I didn't bring a trash can in here. I forgot.
I was like, yeah, you totally probably need that. And you're like, eh.
And then I almost puked because there's a really gnarly scene. There is a. I'm not going to spoil what the gnarly scene is because I think that is too much. But there is another scene that it's the first time we see any sort of like crazy violence in the film. It involves a pencil. It looks so fucking real. Like I am stunned that did not really happen.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
But I think the best practical effect, and I say the best practical effect, for some people it's probably going to be the worst thing in this film. But for me, it's the most, at the very least, impressive, is they have some amazing sequences of stop motion.
Oh yeah, no, it's incredible. It looks so good.
Actually, a lot of the gore effects kind of feature it somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just some great
Like I don't know how else you would
stop motion.
do that on such a low budget. You know what I mean?
Well, not just that. Before, like, CGI was a big thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like no CGI, low budget, and you did it in stop motion, and
So-
it looks so cool.
They wanted anything complex, especially with more rotting or damaged bodies.
Yeah.
You had to do it that way.
They also do some really good progressive makeup stuff. Like as the Deadites get injured or hurt, their bodies don't heal, so they keep the injuries, and it looks really good.
But I do think it's kind of important to mention that they did write themselves out of the hole of continuity when they're like, oh yeah, the Deadites can kind of switch how they look sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's true.
But yeah, they do try to keep up with it. I think they did great there too.
Yeah,
Again, visually stunning.
good burn makeup. We get some good burn stuff too.
Yeah, it's
Because
all
like,
good.
of course, the fucking cabin has a fireplace.
With that being said, do you have anything else?
I really don't think so, man.
Okay. If you want to do a recommendation, then I guess.
Yeah, if you like movies from the 80s, this movie feels like a movie from the 80s. It's very 80s, like aesthetically. It's very 80s, and I like that.
Oh, shocking.
I love that so much. If you like B movies, this reminds me of a trauma film in a lot of really good ways, but not as overtly goofy as a trauma film.
Not as much nudity or grossness.
Oh, this movie's gross.
Well, like there's gore in this, but like
But, like-
Trauma has like
Gross, like vomit,
Gross,
just like
yeah.
diarrhea, poop, just,
not that.
not that, but still gross. Yeah, so if you like B movies, man, it's like peak B movie.
Would you say this film is bloody disgusting?
Jesus H. Christ. How long have you had that up your sleeve?
About 3 seconds.
Oh my god. If you are interested in starting The Evil Dead, start with the first one. I like this movie. I think it's very fun. And I get why people like the franchise now. I get it. I understand.
It's great.
It's great. Yeah. If you want really good practical effects and gore, man, this movie has a lot of it, and I think it's really, really cool. It looks really good, and it's really surprisingly gross. If you like Return of the Living Dead, this is kind of the same thing, except not really. It's that, but refreshing, because it's not hordes of undead. It's a small cast of undead things.
It's kind of like Return of the Living Dead had a baby with The Exorcist.
I thought you were about to mention Return of the Living Dead Part 2. I was going to punch you.
No. The original Return of the Living
Yeah.
Dead had a baby with The Exorcist.
Kind of
'Cause
with the
it's
way
a
the Deadites look.
Possession thing.
They look
too.
very much like the demon from The Exorcist. I can't remember her name all of a sudden.
Pazuzu?
No, I didn't want to. Not the actual demon's name, but
Linda Blair?
yes, like she does in that film. Like Reagan, that was her name. I can't remember
Oh.
the character name. But they look like Reagan when she gets possessed by the demon in The Exorcist, and it looks pretty rad. I think those are my recommendations.
Okay. So, obviously, first recommendation, like Bob said, if you want to get into Evil Dead and you haven't seen the first Evil Dead movie, this is the first Evil Dead movie. Go watch it.
Yeah,
It's a good time. If you like Bruce Campbell, this is kind of like his most famous role. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But I think the big recommendation is if you're into B movies, like that's what this is. It isn't the most polished thing ever, but they try really hard. And if you like, kind of lower budget films like this, it's really impressive. It's very well done for what it is. I remember the first time I watched this, I had heard a little bit about it, but I could see the production values, and I was like, all right, this might be okay. And it turned out to be really good. So
mm-hmm.
if you like B movies, it's really great for that. Maybe watching like with a group of friends or something could be a fun time. Fan of Sam Raimi,
Oh, that's
also
fair. That's
a big
good point.
thing. I think that's all I got there. Want to give it a rating?
I might surprise you with this one, Ben, because I really like the movie. and I don't know if I can. I don't know if I want to give it a 5 or not, because I really really enjoy the film, but it's like it is still like got that B movie like schlock with unrefined aspects, but that stuff I like. But I'm trying to like look at it from an audience perspective. Like, if you don't like that, you're probably not gonna have a good time.
Yeah. I mean, if you want, I can go really quick.
Well, I know what you're gonna say.
So I can go and I can maybe win you over if you want.
You can try.
Okay. So I'm going to give this a 5. Part of that is because at the end of the day, this is a B movie. You know, it's an independent film. It comes from a inexperienced director, him and like a bunch of his friends. And so there's like some unpolished aspects to it. But this film is basically as good as I think you can get for the conditions given to it. In fact, I would say it goes above and beyond what it normally should have been. And that, you know, I think buys me a lot of leeway to give it a high rating, is that it is a great product for what it potentially should have been. But more importantly than that, I think this film really establishes a bunch of really famous ideas and tropes in the genre that really make it timeless and really stick with you in a way it wouldn't otherwise do. And really raises its value so that even though it's a B movie, it has a lot more worth than you traditionally think. I mean, basically every Cabin in the Woods film we've watched this season has referenced this film pretty explicitly.
And I even caught some references to other films that we've seen on the podcast, like that use references to this film that I didn't even know about.
Because this film just does a bunch of cool stuff, and it does it that well. I mean, it practically just invented the Cabin in the Woods genre. And it's hard to look at a film like this and look at how well it did for itself and not give it that high of a rating. Especially because, like, all of the potential problems with it are issues of polish. And I don't think that's necessarily a negative against a film. That's more of a stylistic issue.
Yeah.
And that's less of a takeaway and more of a preference. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're right that not everyone's going to like this film. But then again, not everyone likes horror. So,
yeah. No, I mean,
everyone has their preferences.
I guess if I look at it from that perspective of someone coming in as a horror fan, this movie's fucking great. Like, it deserves a 5 if I look at it from that. But that's not why I'm going to give it a 5. I think you did convince me, genuinely, when you brought up the fact that it does establish a lot of tropes for the genre and for the horror genre as a whole. And tons of films have taken inspiration from this film and done really cool things with them.
Yeah, I mean, not to get into other films we reviewed this season or too spoilery, but I'm going to assume you've maybe seen this episode. But Cabin in the Woods, right, is, functionally speaking, 2 different plots.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is a cheesy Cabin in the Woods style horror movie.
That is literally this film almost.
Almost scene for scene.
Yeah.
In fact, they go into the basement for no reason because the basement door flies open and they're like, oh, it's the wind.
Yep.
And they go down there and they find all the stuff needed to summon the zombie dudes. But there's like even closer references of like when they go in the basement, there's a projector.
Yep.
Or very specifically, Marty has a lantern for some reason because that's what Ash carries down there.
Yeah. No, it deserves a 5. I was on the edge. I was gonna give it a 4.5. Because like I said, I get why I like it and I get why you like it. I just don't know for a general audience how much someone coming in that wasn't a fan of the genre would like this film. But I'm realizing they didn't make this movie for those people. They made it for people like me and you. So if we're the intended audience, this movie's fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things of like, there's some issues with it.
Sure.
But they really kind of went above and beyond. Like we said, there's some great effects in it, but it's like, how the fuck did you pull off some of these stop motion effects?
No, they look insane. Like,
on what you had.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's just kind of how the whole film feels. Like, even those wild cinematography stuff where it's like, how did you pull this off as a dude with a stick?
Yeah.
And a rented camera?
It's pretty sweet.
All right, well, on that note, though, I guess we're going to go to the outtakes.
Yeah. We'll see you guys in a minute. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the outtake section for this episode of Beware the Board. I hope you're enjoying our review of The Evil Dead so far. I really love this film. I think it's the perfect mix of B-movie schlock and gore. But without further ado, let's get into the outtakes. This first clip is my reaction to seeing young Bruce Campbell for the very first time. His chin is gargantuan.
Yeah,
His jawline is immense.
that's what he's known for too.
It's also sweet. This next clip is Ben making a return to form and making another It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia reference on the podcast. Why bridges got to be so dangerous in films?
Because they're oftentimes rickety. Like a cricket.
Oh, Ben, come on.
Don't pretend like you didn't like that joke.
This next clip is our reaction to some of the early supernatural stuff that happens in the film. Okay, why is she tweaking?
Who knows?
Oh my God.
Her hand's a weird color.
No, it is. I don't like this.
I wonder what she's drawing.
Oh no, not the book. This next clip is our reaction to one of the most uncomfortable scenes in the entire film. What the fuck? Oh my God. She's being attacked by the forest. The forest is killing her. What the fuck? This is crazy. That's actually so sweet. Well, it sucks to be her. Because she's getting fucking strung up to be killed, maybe? I don't know. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. What's gonna happen to her, Ben? This feels fucked up. Okay, the forest is stripping her. Now it's cutting. Okay, there we go. Oh! No. 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 Oh, this is fucked up, Ben. Ah!
Yup.
What the fuck? How do you explain to anyone what just happened to you? Like, how do you go back to the cabin and go, I was just assaulted by the forest?
Yeah.
This next clip is my reaction to seeing a Deadite for the very first time. Oh, what the fuck, guys? No. This is not good. She's floating? This next clip is our reaction to the Deadites finally attacking the group for the very first time. Don't approach her. Don't approach that bitch. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if she's your friend. Fuck that hoe. Stay away.
You're a shitty friend, Bob.
I don't care. Didn't you just hear what he said? You gotta cut her up. It's the only option. Oh, her hand looks putrid. Oh, and she's got a pencil. She's gonna stab him. No. Ah! Oh, whoa. Oh my God! She broke it off in her fucking ankle! Ah! Oh, the shelf! This movie escalated so quickly. There's a gun in the house! Shoot this motherfucker! This next clip is our reaction to the scene that almost made me throw up during the film. Oh my God! No, don't pull her out, you fucking idiot! She's all crispy and burnt now! Oh my... Oh no, don't give it to them! Don't give it to them! Don't give them your skin, Scotty! God damn, these things are terrifying. Stop choking him! Just let him go! No, don't burn the man! No! Ah! Ash, it's just a fucking bookshelf! Push it, you idiot! Yeah. No, don't. No. Why is this stressing me out? She looks disgusting. She looks foul. Man's got a fucking Bowie knife on him. Oh! Oh, that's so... That's so fucking gross, Ben! Oh my god. I can't do it. I can't do it. No, stop. 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 Oh! Oh, that actually looks so cool. Too bad oh god. Oh, the nub! Oh god. Hi everybody, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the outtakes. Do we have any announcements, Ben?
Yeah, on Sunday, supposedly.
So stop saying supposedly.
Allegedly.
It's gonna happen.
Well, so Father's Day is Sunday, I believe.
Yeah.
So the Father's Day episode is coming out then.
Yes.
And then we also recorded Bob's birthday episode.
Yes.
He has assured me it's going to come out on that day. But Bob has 4 episodes to edit this week. And
Okay, and?
one of those does not necessarily have to come out on Sunday. So
It's gonna come out on Sunday.
definitely Father's Day's coming out Sunday. Maybe the birthday episode.
Yeah.
And then when is Evil Dead 2 coming out?
Where's my phone? That's how I answer this. Hold on. Sorry, podcast. Oh, okay. Ben will hand me my phone. If you hand me my phone, I could tell you. Okay? Because I don't remember how we do this because it's been so fucking long.
Did we do Monday and then Wednesday?
I'm about to go find out because if I go to our playlist and I go to our episodes and find a 2-parter, I can look at the difference between the days and tell you. What was the last 2-parter we did?
I don't know. It's been a while.
It's been a long time. Urban Legend, maybe? So let me go to Urban Legend and tell you what day this came out.
I know what you did last summer.
Urban Legend came out on September 15th. Final Cut came out on September 18th, 3 days later. So I'm pretty sure it'll be that Monday. Yes. The normal episode comes out the day you're watching it on Friday, because that's this episode.
That's today.
And then the next episode will come out on Monday.
Yeah. Sunday at midnight.
So we're releasing episodes on Friday, Sunday, Monday.
Okay.
There you go. So if you like this episode, come back on Monday and we'll have another one.
Yeah. Lots of people like the second one more than the first one.
I'm excited about the second one after watching the first one.
I know for most people, it's either the favorite is the second one or Army
The
of
third
Darkness.
one, yeah. I've heard the third one's really good too.
I'll put this out here right now. If you're unfamiliar with the franchise, out of the original 3, they all have distinctly different tones.
Really?
They're all just different.
Interesting.
They're just different movies. I mean, they come from different times. That being said, if you don't have any more announcements, usual spiel. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcast. If you're checking us out on any of those platforms, please give us a quick rating or a review. That really helps us out getting recommended to other people on those platforms. If you want, you could give us a recommendation to a friend. That'd be really nice. Spread the podcast around if you think they'd like it. Otherwise, we're also on YouTube, which, while not great for audio-only content, does help us out by gauging engagement. You know, we can see your views and likes and stuff like that, and it's really nice to know, like, if people are enjoying it. Otherwise, YouTube does have a couple interesting tools you might appreciate. There's a search button, which lets you search all our videos for key terms. So, like, movie titles to see if we've covered something, because we've covered a lot at this point.
We have a lot of episodes of the podcast.
There's also a bell button, which lets you get notified whenever we post something new on all our platforms, because we post at the same time. So in case we don't tell you about something in advance, or we're posting on like a Sunday or a Monday, and it's hard to remember, that's an easy way to tell. Besides from that, though, YouTube is one of the 2 major places to communicate with us at. You can do that in the comment section of a specific video if there's something you want to talk about us in a certain episode. Or you can go over to Twitter, @BewareTheBoard, and, talk to Bob. Tell him to come join you.
Oh, we didn't even... you son of a bitch. No, I will not be joining you, you scum.
Wrap him up in some vines and
No. No. No.
really get all
No.
up in his business.
Stay out of my business. Don't get in there. Like Ben said, check us out on Twitter @BewareTheBoard. It's where I post updates about the show, information about the show. Basically, if there's anything you want to know about the show, it goes on our Twitter. On Mondays, I post a spoiler post for that week's worth of episodes, which is a hidden movie cover that you can reveal. So you can watch the movie before we do. So many releasing episodes, you don't get any spoilers. We're being vague about stuff. You know what we're talking about. Then on Fridays or whatever other day an episode goes live, I always post a link to the episode on our Twitter whenever it goes up. So if you've ever missed an upload and want to know when something went up, there's always a link there. Last thing, we might possibly make short form content for the show at some point in the future. I have not made one in a while. I've been very, very busy. But if you like short form content and enjoy the show, check us out at Beware the Board on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. Ben, I think that's it.
All right, well, we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time.